January 7th. It's got some snow the past day or two. I think it was at least 6 inches. But moved this group, slid the fence over. Probably slide it over some more on my way back to the truck. But I came up here to pull this salt bag or tea bag for the mineral water out of this trough. Looks like we guessed at it pretty good. There's about a fistful of salt still left in there. Been using a 25-pound bag of C90. We're doing this, and it's been about right for most of these groups. Just fill the bag up and then slide it. It is kind of tough, but if you pull that, slide it down in there, and then push it down up underneath that. Works pretty good in these Ritchie troughs. It works better in the Rubbermaid tanks where you don't have any obstruction, but it can be done in these as well. So yesterday was mineral water, today will be fresh water, and then we'll rotate every other day when we have time, when it's feasible. And I'll just let this sit on the other side of the fence so it's ready for tomorrow. Dump it out after it's dried up and then fill it back up for the next day. But apparently the minerals are twice as available, bioavailable to the cows being in the water like that. The minerals from the sea salt. 20% available in the mineral feeder, 40 to 50% available in the water, and 90% available in the grass, which is where you want to get the minerals in your grass. That way cows can get more mineralized. But here's a water line that I use on this farm. Runs 1,600 feet down this fence line with some quick couplers along the way. We're not using it now, obviously, but hook that end into the trough, put an adapter in it, and it plumbs right into that trough. But this field's got some of our stockpile in it. Plan on grazing this group since we got good stockpile where they're at. Been unrolling a couple bales to the other groups because they're cleaned up some of their fields and want to put some hay on some of the parts of the field. But this group plan on grazing this stockpile. It's plenty thick. They can reach down there and grab it. If I can see it, they can eat it. They're gonna have to work a little bit, but what they're getting to is well worth it. Just gotta make sure you give them enough. Probably not gonna get as good of a harvest compared to it being dry and no snow, but we got plenty of grass for this group. So gonna keep on grazing, and they seem pretty content. Wesley, what are you doing? So you want to go sledding, don't you? We got to find a hill somewhere. Up there? Yeah. We'll go do it in another group where we're unrolling some bales down a hill, so be able to let Wesley slide down the hill while we unroll bale and catch them at the bottom. When you throwing snowballs? But yep, Still got some stockpile out there. Got 25 or so acres in this field left. And then we could clean up some of these other fields that we already grazed before we head to the other side. So I still got several weeks left on this side. Say it's January 7th. I think we'll be over here. I think I estimated it out to be mid-February by the time we move over there, and we got the whole other side of the farm to graze. So we should be good with this group. But yeah. One thing I'll say with this style of grazing, I've read it on some of these groups and non-selective grazing group on Facebook, and if you're going to do this style of grazing, you need to have a good mineral program in front of your cows if they're not well adapted to it, from what I understand. And that's what I believe is I've seen with my groups the past couple years using a cheaper mineral. But even last year, we were tip grazing last year, and it still had more issues than I'd like to see as far as performance. So, but I saw it. If you're going to do this style grazing, you need to have top-notch mineral program, whether it's, you know, a higher dollar mineral like Vitaferm or Purina, or I'm sure there's some other mixes out there, or the cafeteria style mineral. But don't skimp on your mineral, especially if your fields aren't built up and in tip-top shape. And learn how to read a mineral tag. Been doing a lot of research on that the past several weeks, and pretty sure that the mineral I've been using the past couple years, I mean, the first thing that's off on it is the calcium's too high and the phosphorus isn't enough. And from what I've researched with grazing plants more mature, the calcium stays high but the phosphorus drops off. And if you have a mixed mineral that's high in calcium, cows are going to have a hard time getting phosphorus, because calcium does block phosphorus when it's in an excess. And phosphorus is important for hair coats and average daily gain and reproduction. And if you're not getting enough phosphorus from either the forage or your mineral, from what I understand, you're going to see poor cattle performance. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if anybody else knows anything about that, but that's what I've researched and come upon, and pretty sure that's why we're seeing lower conception rates, especially with spring calvers, and weaning weights has been the big thing this year. But yeah, we got the Vitaferm mineral out there, which the mineral, the guaranteed analysis on it is a lot better than what I was using. A lot more vitamins and minerals in it. So got that going. Got the sea salt as an option as well in the feeders, and we're doing mineral water when we can. Also got the Redmond conditioner out there, free choice, to help raise pH and bind toxins, they say. But been somewhat of a drastic change to the mineral program I've been using, and hoping that we see some benefits in the next couple years, because in the past I didn't really think much of it, but it seems to be a really important feature, especially if you're going to do this total grazing non-selective grazing, strip grazing, where you're consuming the majority of the plant and not just the tips, because yes, the tips do have the most energy, but as I've said before, you're not going to run near the stocking rate, and you're going to be overgrazing in a drought unless you destock, because you're getting around your farm too quick. So if you consume the whole plant, you get a better ration, and there might be some minerals lacking in the bottom part of the plant or however it is, but your mineral program needs to be top notch, as Jim Elizondo has said in some of his comments. Needs to be top notch so that if the cows aren't getting the minerals they need in the grass, they can get it in the mineral feeder or the mineral water to make up for their lack. And he also says that excess is more of a problem than a deficiency. So if you have a mineral blocking another mineral because of an excess, that's not a good thing. And I saw that calcium to phosphorus needs to be in a ratio of, I've seen it said 1 to 1, I've seen it said 1.5 to 1, or even 2 to 1. And the mineral tag I was using before had calcium at 15% minimum and phosphorus at 1% minimum. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a 15 to 1 ratio, which is way off. And then this Vitafirm tag is at a 10, 12 min max, and then a 5% phosphorus. So that's more like a 2 to 1. So just be cautious when you're using mixed minerals. Know what's in them. I'm not saying 100% that that's what my problem is, but I'm about 95, 99% sure that's what it is. Not having a good enough mineral in front of them. So, but yeah, I don't know why they have that previous mineral was at a 15 to 1 ratio. Maybe, I don't know, right off the bat. Not a good thing. So, top-notch mineral program if you're going to graze this way. If your soils aren't, as Steve Campbell says, if your soils aren't gay brown type soils, meaning tip-top shape, where there's no problem getting the minerals that you need for your cows in the grass. But some of these fields that I got were hay fields or poor pasture fields that weren't taken care of. So gonna have to, since we're not using commercial fertilizer, trying not to, just unrolling hay and grazing like this. Our mineral program needs to be top-notch from what I understand. So that's what we've done, and hoping to see some benefits to it. Wesley, you're being mean. Hoping to see some benefits in the future. Keep you up to date. That's what we're seeing. Comment if you have any, if you know anything or have heard anything like that, but been doing a lot of research on it lately, and pretty sure we've figured out what the issue is, and just need some time to reap the benefits. But yep, I'm gonna slide this fence over and go check some other groups. Hitting them poop pats. Uh-oh. Putting some more fertility on this hillside.